Hi everyone, so just finished running our full day RCA preparation course. Wonderful group of registrars from all over the UK, most in ST3, some in ST2, wanting to get a head start as they start ST3 next week so that they can hit the ground running and get great quality recordings for their RCA. So one of the things that we talked about at the beginning of the course I thought would be helpful for others, and that is that the Royal College has made some big changes to the RCA from September 2021 onwards. So I just wanted to go through the 4 big changes. The biggest one is that there's now 12 minutes of consultation that will be marked. So 12 minutes of your consultation will be marked. Now that 12 minutes starts basically from when you say, how can I help you today? I.e., any time where you are checking if they can hear you, if they can see you, confirming their ID, things like that, consent if it's done on tape, none of that counts in the 12 minutes. So from when you actually start, you've got 12 continuous minutes, used to be 10. That's really good news because it means you're going to have longer time to take a proper history, rule out the red flags, deal with any examination you need to, discuss the diagnosis, management, even finish up things like your follow-up and safety netting. So biggest change, 12 minutes consultation time. This is something that we've been asking for and hoping for since the beginning. Lots of people have suggested that it would be a fairer, more realistic assessment. So that's a really good change. The next is that one of the mandatory criteria used to be you had to submit 2 or more cases that required clinical examination. That has been dropped. So that is no longer part of the mandatory cases. Okay. Of course, if there's a case where you have to examine as part of the case, carry on and do that. And it doesn't mean that you can't submit cases where you've had to examine. Any recording of the actual examination is generally going to be behind the curtain anyway. But it's not mandatory anymore to include 2 or more cases that require examination. Another change is that within the maternal and reproductive health mandatory case domain, it now excludes breast lumps unless they're directly related to the postnatal period. Whereas previously people, could include breast lumps generally as maternal and reproductive. Okay, that's no longer the case unless it's related to the postnatal phase. And then the 4th one is probably the least important, and that is that they've just changed the wording of the feedback statements of safety netting to add in the words appropriate and realistic safety netting, i.e. don't say something that might scare a patient just because you're trying to tick an imaginary box of safety netting. It should be what is the truthful, genuine, appropriate and realistic safety netting for their situation. Well, anyone that was submitting good cases would have been doing that anyway. You shouldn't have been making something up for the exam in the first place. And that's why that's the least important one, because I think that would only have made an issue if someone was doing something unrealistic in the first place. Okay, I don't tell someone randomly, if XYZ happens, call A&E, if that's actually not something they should be specifically watching out for that condition. If there isn't a relevant thing that they need to go to A&E for, that's just going to scare the patient needlessly, right? That's why they've added that wording. Okay, so let's just recap then. What are now the mandatory cases? So you've got to submit at least one case that's a child, 16 years or under. You've got to submit at least one case that's an elderly patient, so over 65. At least one where the case is about a mental health condition. At least one which is a maternal or reproductive health case. Remember, that excludes breast lumps unless they're associated with the postnatal period. At least one which is an existing long-term condition. So that could be like a cancer, someone with a chronic disease, where there's a progression of disease, or they come for a review or something like that, or disability or something like that. And then at least one which is an acute problem. So either something that needs them to be admitted today or needs an urgent referral or assessment either within 2 weeks or quicker. So it could be, a query TIA needs to be seen within 24 hours or within 7 days, depending on when they had the symptoms. Could be someone that you're admitting, query stroke, okay? It could be someone that you're sending as a 2-week wait referral, suspected cancer. That would fulfill that urgent or acute condition, okay? And just a reminder that you can download this checklist. I'll pop that, I've updated it, where, you've got the curriculum areas, that you want to get a broad spread of cases, and then there's a checklist of the mandatory cases at the bottom. Make sure you do not submit without having all of these ticked off, because if you don't have any one mandatory case, if you've got one missing, you will get 0 marks for that case. If you have 2 or more mandatory cases missing, you will get an overall fail, 0 marks for the whole exam, basically, regardless of how good your other ones are. Okay, so I hope that's helpful as a little update. If anybody does want to join our RCA course, the next one is in September, but we tend to have about one a month. We only take 9 doctors at each course, and we will go through 25 role plays with professional simulators. We have both male and female simulators, and throughout the day you get lots of practice. You'll get detailed individual feedback from 2 different assessors, myself and someone else. Okay, so hope that's helpful. Keep pushing, keep going, prepare, and you will succeed. Thank you so much.